We are live. Tamir, what is up? How are you doing?
Doing fantastic, man. Just came out here to Marbella 2 days ago. On here like within a half ago, I think it was, for a mastermind. It was just so beautiful. I had to come back.
Yeah, I was curious about that because 8 players just did a trip out there, and then now, how many of you guys went back? Like 15?
So right now I'm staying with. Now we're 4 in this apartment. There's like 4 or 5 in a different one, and then 4 or 5 guys are hopping down next week. It's gonna be sick.
And where are most of the guys from? Mostly Europe, or is it all over?
All Europe, and actually I'm staying with 2 guys from Mexico. So that's a bit
Cool.
of a stretch. Yeah, mainly Europe.
Yeah, no, I've noticed everybody. I feel like I've met somebody from just about everywhere in there, but it is highly concentrated in Europe. For those of you that don't know, so kind of me and Tamir's backstory. I guess we met through players, but we may have been following each other a little before that, just by being in sales, and info product space. A lot of mutual connections. But a big reason I wanted to have this interview is really just to show, like, all this was being active on Instagram. Like, we got connected simply through talking about what we were doing on Instagram, right? Like, I was doing something on the LinkedIn side, Tamir's in sales, kind of goes hand in hand. And then we found out about 8 players through James Galligan, shout out to him. And then now we've been able to attend a lot of mastermind calls together and really help each other out in growing our businesses, which has been super cool. So we're going to talk about, Tamir's sales experience, over 1 million done in sales, and now a ton of time now helping tons of companies doing so. Super awesome, man. What's front of mind for you right now?
Right now, actually, what I wanted to tap on is that because of 8 players, because we're connected on Instagram, that's how I basically got all my opportunities. Like, if it wasn't for that, then I actually don't where I'd be. What's so crazy is that with 8 players, it's so nice because we get to do business together. Me and Jack are doing some stuff on the side, working. He's helping me out with one of my clients. It's just so sick to do business with people already trust because you're in the same group. Would ever fuck one other guy over because you're out of the group. You wreck the brotherhood inside the group. So such an amazing aspect. What's top of mind right now is 2 things. Growing my own company, closingclients.io, is a coaching hybrid company that helps coaches sell more. So now I'm doing sales management for a pretty big social media firm that you're helping out with. Just growing the sales team, gonna scale them to $1 million a month cash as soon as possible. I just got that opportunity through Instagram. Now it's gonna make me a lot of money. Yeah, we're gonna make money together on that. So
Yeah,
good.
100%. I'm excited. In terms of how you landed that opportunity, I like to talk about this. Can you talk about your approach in that at all? Was it kind of was this a message you sent months ago? Was this instant situation? Can you take me through that?
Yeah. So that's actually crazy because it ties back into 8 players as well. So I was out here in Marbella a month and a half ago trying to grow my coaching business off the ground. Right now we kind of just got it off the ground, doing 20, 30K a month. We're just turning. That's right. So we're gonna scale it. But I was reaching out. I was doing kind of cold outreach to a guy called Patrick, which is in players, and I was outreaching to his followers. Now he was following this guy named Oliver. Shoot him out a message. Completely just, yo, what's up? Let's connect, right? I asked him if he could connect me to one of the people he was working with, because it's on his profile that he's working with this guy, and I was like, shit, I could probably help that guy. So I was like, yo, can you make the connection? He was like, yeah, I'll think about it. And then I made a reel about how to handle that I need to think about an objection. So I sent him that. I guess he found it funny. He ended up reaching back to me, right? He ended up reaching back to me like weeks later saying, hey, we need to grow our sales team on this end. I was like, cool, let's hop on a call. He wanted me to close for them, but I was like, I don't do really closing anymore, kind of going into management. So he was like, okay, cool, let's set up a call about that. Close that deal for like 10K up front, 5% rev. And now we're really scaling things up on that end. And what's crazy about that is that you never know what DM or what opportunity you can get. If you just put enough inputs out there, you're going to get something eventually. So if I, at that single moment, didn't decide to just lock in for like 30 minutes and send a couple of DMs, I would have never got this. And another thing that went into that deal is that I have a bunch of mutuals. So I just asked them to reinforce and kind of give me an endorsement and put in a good word. And that basically did all the hard work.
Wow.
Just connections and fucking
There's
input.
we'll continue on this, but there's 3 components I just want to hit on before I forget. Was the approach to say that it's like really in the perimeter. This is a concept that I've brought up on this before. It was something I got from Marlon, and it's something I see a lot of guys doing without even realizing it. And it's basically going to a connection you have in Patrick, right? Has done a lot of great work. And then who's involved in, similar industry, etc. Seeing who trusted him or trusted his content or liked what he did would see value in you being connected. So the perimeter of Patrick, you go through that and they see that mutual connection. And then you make that. So that's huge just in terms of people are like, where do I look for clients? And it's like you start, people always say start with your friends and family. I always say start with your friends of your friends and family, because your friends and family are going to have like that guilt to just make it work. And the other people won't have bias, but they'll still have that same trust. So I think that's super awesome. Really surround the perimeter and take care of that. And then other aspect of that was like, okay, you got a rejection, and instead of just moving on, you were like, how can I turn this into a positive? And like unintentionally, and maybe that was your intention to like, obviously that's what triggered it, but like that's a broad-based question you could answer and to him and it kind of showed your skill set. That was like a really good example of like, okay, he's kind of giving me a chance here to see how I would handle a rejection. Whereas other people would be like, I'm going to send 90 more of these DMs today and somebody's not going to give me this much trouble. But like, those are the little things that separate guys like you and sold millions. You're not doing the other DMs. You and this guy, he's a good fit. He's got a good connect. And you pursued it, and then you saw it all the way through. Ended in a 10K deal. Now ended in a 10K deal, not for what that guy wanted. That guy thought you were just going to come in, be this younger guy that was for him, etc. And you were like, nope, I came in here, and I'm not doing that as much. Tell him where your head was. So a lot of people, they would be like, oh, this might just be the next. Let me do this. Let me just take this opportunity. It's not really what I want. And that decision right there is you would have just made a decision to do what you didn't really want. And you would have stayed there for the next 6 months, maybe saw some success, but not seen the sustained potentially been where you're at, with freedom. So I like that you just didn't sacrifice the freedom to take, the next check that was on the table. You would have done great closing for them, right? But now you have full control over it and you're really maximizing your experience, as
well as like, were to just say, yeah, I'll close for you, it kind of lowers my authority. If you actually say to them, hey, look what's going on right now. These are all the problems. This is why they're happening. This is how I could potentially solve them. Number one, you're going to provide more value to them. They're going to make more money, so they're in a better situation. Also in a better situation yourself. But about the rejection thing, when I'm closing deals for my sales coaching business, I feel like people on purpose, prospects that I'm talking to, I love my clients. Where they become a client, I feel like they get me some objections on purpose to see if I actually know what I'm talking about and if I'm actually good. If I'm not able to handle their objections and close them, how would I help them close? Sometimes I have a prospect just hitting me with objections on purpose so they can see my skills in handling them. Another thing, I've been doing like a bunch of interviews today for building the sales team, talking to people in the DMs. I was like rejecting a couple people, not really on purpose, but just to kind of see their skills. Honestly, there was this one guy that I had an interview with a couple of hours ago. I told him, hey, it wouldn't be a good fit because of XYZ. He completely turned that around, that problem into an actual opportunity, and now I'm going to hire him.
Interesting. So that's another good strategy because, again, with my audience being big on LinkedIn, this is going to go to a lot of these founders who have been, leaders at their company for some time. and they're always looking. They haven't hired a sales team because they don't know what to look for in good sales reps. And you just provided a good strategy right there without even probably realizing. Like literally challenge them when you say you're offering these positions, talk about your offers, talk about their earning potential. But then when they're on the call, like give them some objections and treat them like they're trying to sell you on themselves and see how well they do that. If you can't sell themselves, how are they going to sell your stuff? Right. And it's a great, I'm actually going to take that mental. It's like, I don't do that. I'm just like for personal experience. Busy. People could have had experience for 5 years and just gotten lucky, or they could be lying about what they're actually doing. That's a good way. Like put them in the arena, to see how they do.
100%. Yeah, there's a bunch of people who are great at interviewing. They look really sexy on paper as a good hire, but you really see the proof in the pudding once they actually perform. With LinkedIn, someone that outreached to me, or I'm doing outreach, and if someone outreached to me and they didn't follow up with me and they aren't following up consistently with value and following up every day, every other day, they probably don't believe in their service. Because if you actually believe that your service and your offer can really solve someone's problem, and that problem is really painful, maybe because you experienced it in the past, you're going to do everything to get in front of them and get them to buy. That doesn't mean you have to follow up and be needy. Obviously, they, just follow up until they either tell you they're not interested, block you, but don't follow up just in question marks. Put genuine value based on their profile. Follow up that watched their YouTube video and you found this insight helpful. Remind them about your offer. Just keep following up, because I might be busy today and not have time to respond to a follow-up, but the weekend always comes along and you always open your inbox. So that's what I like about what you did also with the campaigns, with all the follow-ups, stuff like that. Yeah, that's also a key point.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's another key thing to pull in terms of this being a really actionable, episode is, okay, I've started the outreach process. So I've started the outreach process, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., whatever your offer is. And then they're only sending one follow-up, and they're not sending another follow-up because they don't know what to put in. And you just outlined right there. Like, keep hitting them with value. Always provide context to why you reached out, and nobody's gonna really shut the door in your face. And if they do, it's a good thing. It's an actual no. We see so many people just turn people that ignore them into automatic no's, and that's just such a small amount of people, because there are people, like you said, like yourself, like myself, who see some value in somebody who keeps following up. Yeah, it could get a little spammy to an extent, but it's also we understand it's our job to say, hey, I'm not interested. They took the time out of their day to reach out to us. Yes, a lot of people are doing that, but as entrepreneurs listening to this, we have to remember, that's us too. That's us too in one way, or it might be our going on somebody's Instagram feed every day. It might not be a direct message, but that's us too. That's the only way to grow. Closed mouths don't get fed. One of the tidbits I can throw.
And a no is, I'd much rather get a no from a prospect or from an outreach message than a maybe, or them ghosting me. No, it's a no. Okay, great. Just move on to the next one. You'll waste so much more energy than maybe, and you have to follow up again, schedule another follow-up call, do this, provide that value. No is just such a clear answer that you can just clarify why it's a no, then handle it. But if you can't, leave it, right? You have abundance of lead flow to get into that mind of abundance if you actually want to close deals. But really, you got to understand kind of who you are. I feel like I close better out of abundance and adversity and pressure. I know some salespeople are really great under pressure. Personally, perform the best under pressure because then I need to close a deal. Then I can't be attached to the sale. If I'm not attached to the sale, if I am attached to the sale, it's going to be harder to close. Really understanding the personality types you have and that your prospect has, game changer, and kind of framework that I'm developing and coaching my clients on that are scaling from 24K, 100K a month, etc. Couple months.
And how are you teaching them to get in the same frame as the client? Is that something that's taking place on the call? Is this in the pre-call prep? Are getting in the client space? Talk about that a little bit.
And it's a great answer. So basically what I found is that there's three types of prospects and three types of people, three types of personality types, right? Got personality, which I call actionable. You got P type personality types or are more practical. You got S type personality types who are more social. Personalities, big business owners are straight to the point. They don't like fluff. They give you short answers. They're, hate fluff. They just want to know, hey, cut to the chase. What's the price? How much does it cost? Really engaged with your conversation and they're really straight to the point. Now, practical people, they're more kind of nerdy. They're detail oriented. They like all the details. They like to compare you. They're kind of quiet, shallow. Social people, you give them a short question, they give you a long answer. They really like you. They like to connect from people. To understand that like every script, not every word for word script works on each prospect. How to change the way of style of selling, because if you're using the exact same script on three different types of prospects, it might work for the A type personality, but not for the P and not the S type personality. That's why your close rate is below 30%. Because you're not able to adapt your style of selling to that personality type. So the way that I kind of do it, there's two ways. If you're selling more B2B and to the exact person, maybe coaches that they're posting on social media, from their pre-call application based on the answers of their questions. If you ask, hey, what's the main challenges right now? They give a really short answer or just skip it, just put a dot or just say not enough leads. Probably A type personality, you can check out their YouTube and Instagram, kind of get their vibe and get the feel for them. I actually have a partnership with a company that we're kind of working out a deal right now. They actually input someone's LinkedIn profile. They will analyze what personality type it is, give you advice on how to sell to them. If you don't have that, which most of the time you wouldn't have, the best way is through the discovery, but understanding their vibe. So once you understand exactly what to look for and how to diagnose and how to kind of observe what personality type they are based on a couple of indicators that give, be able to sense that. Once you sense that, for simple, you ask the question, different tonality. You know whether you continue the conversation and probe a bit deeper or not. But then the biggest part is how to pitch. To pitch based on the personality type, how to customize that. So how to handle objections, how to price drop, what to do, what not to do. That maximizes all the leads calendar and you get the most cash per call because they customize your way of selling to the prospect and their personality type. It's such a game changer.
Yeah, 100%. And the numbers make sense, right? Like most people generate the 30% close rate or lower, it's because they're selling to one personality type and that, right? Following a strict script. And that makes sense. You're missing out on the other 60%, 70% of potential revenue that's out there. And then also, like you pinpointed, you really kind of outlined that and I've heard Jeremy Miner say this, I've heard say this, Jacob on the podcast and said the same thing. And it was like
Jacob on the pod?
Yeah, week 2 of last year. Yeah, you should go watch it. It's a good
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
That's a good one. And he really just like did on the same thing. It was like it's not an income gap, it's a skill gap. All these sales reps that are listening to this, and you improve your ability to close, you don't need as many opportunities in order to see the same result. Like almost in a way, work less. So you're working more efficient. You took the time you invested in mentors and like I know guys like they close 70-80% of their, it's like they know every time they get a call, look, there's a good chance as long as that person's financially qualified.
And look, two things. Number one, you gave me a crazy idea to create a Google Chrome extension that listens to the calls, spots those indicators, and tells you what personality type it is and how to customize your questions. That's going to be a huge value add to my clients. I got to note that down. But about the financially unqualified thing, like I don't see any reason why people can't have an 100% close rate on offers made. If you made an offer to someone and they're qualified and they're a good fit for your program, they don't have the money, I don't see why you're not able to close them and help them and serve them to the highest level. It's not that people don't have money. So yeah, I just made a reel about this. It's going to post soon, but So many ways to get money these days. If you live in a first world country or even a second world country, you can find money if you want to. If the pain is big enough, you will find resources. There's never a lack of resources, only a lack of resourcefulness. That's a big thing. Because if I told you, extreme example, if I told you your mom had cancer and you had $0 or you had $100 in your bank account, the treatment was $20K. You tell me you don't have enough money and just let your mom die? No. What would you do? You would actually get resourceful. And there's so many ways to get resourceful. There's funding partners. There's PayPal credit. There's selling things that you own. There's family and friends. There's loans. You know, you could even do Uber, right? You work Uber Eats. Do something. The pain is really there. And I had people on sales calls selling this productivity coaching. She was broke. It like in her 60s, I think. She basically hasn't been working for the past couple months or years. She didn't have enough money to a point where she put down a deposit basically with a lot of what she had, which was just a couple $100. Went to church the next Sunday, got enough money from her church to fund this productivity coaching program. And she ended up going on a 2 split pay. Well, able to get enough pain from the prospect and make them understand that and help them understand that situation many consequences if they don't take action, and if the pain of not changing is greater than the pain of actually finding the money, then you'll be unstoppable. There's so many ways to find money.
Yeah, I like what you said there about being, no lack of resources, just lack of resourcefulness. And all these, people that get on these calls, and a lot of entrepreneurs, they deem themselves as like qualified connectors. And like that's a good way to kind of put that to the test. What are some key ways like you'd recommend as far as, or maybe even just most successful ways to recommend something like that to those who say they're not financially qualified? I know you mentioned PayPal credit, but is there?
Yeah. So, two things. Number one, if you don't have payment plans, like if you don't have payment plans for your offer, sign up to Klarna, sign up to a firm. If they're not in the US, just make, payment plans straight with Klarna or firm. You get paid in full and they handle the payment plans. But if you're selling to prospects not in the US, you just make a payment plan, 2 pay and 3 pay, maybe 4 pay, right? Let's say they're working a job, waiting for the next paycheck, and for the next paycheck, they'll be able to pay in full, get a deposit, and you get them enrolled. And you get them enrolled into the program. They see the value. Like, look, someone puts in a deposit, I get them enrolled into the program. I don't wait for the next call to get them paid. I get them enrolled to the program ASAP, and then they pay later. We schedule a follow-up date. And if you already have their card on file, you just auto charge it. You just let them know a day before, hey, I'm going to bill you for this much. Agreed on. It goes through most of the time. But if it doesn't go through, assistant reach out. Probably a woman, they're really good at collecting cash. That aside, dude, like, comes to another thing that I would have, encounter a lot of people that aren't fully qualified for full, and they can't pay in full. Maybe they're even a couple steps, like maybe they're a bit unqualified. You're leaving so much money on the table there if you don't have a downsell. A lower ticket community or a partial service. If you're coaching, a low ticket community is the best way. For an agency, a partial service, my friend, he does websites. He could just do the homepage, or just do, the homepage, or just do, a little Google Ads part of it, right? And then is once you, in the partial service or in the low ticket subscription, you can help them in there make enough money to buy your course in full. Do that. Even if you can't do that, at least point them in the right direction to get the money and do that. So whether you're selling, just a random example, a drop shipping course, for example, if they can't pay in full for your program, send them maybe a one module from your course or a couple resources from your course, or you got them to an in-depth YouTube video to help them get started, make the money so you can help them make even more. What you would genuinely do if you genuinely care your process.
Yeah, and it ties into like what we just mentioned on the way you can be social is by creating more of those resources to help yourself out. Like a lot of people have complex offers, and if you really look at some of the biggest companies, a lot of entrepreneurial people I've been talking to in the last couple of weeks, we keep bringing up the Amazon example, but it's like they've learned to sell at it, and then now you can still buy bits and pieces of it. Like everyone thinks Amazon's biggest business is their store, but their biggest business is Amazon Web Services, is the technology behind the store that runs all their other products. And then they're using that technology to help people build conglomerates that operate at least the efficiency level that they do. So their highest ticket client wants Amazon Web Services. And their lowest ticket client wants a $1 keychain Amazon, right? But they're still making money off that person. It's still 100% close rate as long as somebody cares. So I think that's super awesome that you hit on that, because a lot of people can't do that. They're sitting on a lot of these resources. I love when clients come to me and they're like, I don't have a VSL, I don't have this, I don't have that. I'm like, have you ever sat down and like recorded a conversation with your client about their experience? And they're either like, yes, or they're like, no, why haven't I done that? And I'm like, I don't know, let's just do that. And then we're done. Like, okay,
Seriously.
they spent 6 months trying to make a lead magnet and all they needed was
Okay. That's why YouTube is such a game changer. And even like, cause I was filming reel by reel, but now I kind of try to, kind of repurpose my YouTube. But Joel Kaplan, he has a 12-hour course on his YouTube. He didn't record that entire course one by one modules intending it would be a course. He did a 12-day challenge or group calls. It's all packaging. He packaged up all those 12 hours worth of group calls into a free course. You need to do any extra recording except the intro and the outro. And that made him millions from his course, coaching program, and affiliates. Like, to now, kind of what the reason I was thinking about that is because I'm kind of creating right now a free course, a free sales course on YouTube, 6 hours. I don't know if it's not going to be 6 hours or more, but it's going to be somewhere in that ballpark. Gonna be a game changer. I'll be honest, like in the past couple years in sales, I've been gathering all my resources, tools, templates from working on 8-figure sales teams, being in the trenches every day and coming up with these. And I was gonna have that paid program for multiple 4 figures, but I realized like if I want to beat my competition, I gotta give away what they're looking for free. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm really looking forward to it because I'd never seen anyone do something like that before. 6-hour sales course with all the scripts, mindset models, frameworks, tools about literally every topic in sales, even the ones you aren't thinking about now, like sales tracking, building a sales team, CRM, no-show systems, qualified lead prevention systems, optimized cash collection rate, even the little stuff opposed to rapport, frame, objections, tonality, questioning, other stuff, it's going to really be insane because what people like kind of the message I'm trying to convey in my marketing is simply the biggest lever in your business is your sales process. And if it's below KPI, you're leaving hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on the table if you're making 10 to 25K per month.
Yeah, 100%. Even if you increase their sales by 10%, that company still does 10% better than they did last year. And a lot of times, it's going to 10x whatever they're going to pay you. And I think, like that's something we run really well. That's a lot of the best offers I see. And then I had this validated by like somebody who's gotten a lot of funding. And they're just, it's very simple. Investors want to see something they can get a 5 to 10x or more return on. It's the same with your customers. Like if what they're going to pay you, they're confident it's going to return them 3 to 10x their investment, it's a no-brainer. But if you don't have proof of that and you don't have like actual skin in the game as far as systems that can do that for people, then you really shouldn't be selling it. It's also something, we'll talk about on the back half of this podcast is there's people like you and we're around these people all the time, right? Like there's people like us who just wake up every day and do it. And, we know it doesn't turn over in 3 days, but, the process gets you there. But then there's people who just say they made it in 60 seconds and all they're doing is selling their 1 year of experience on it. They're no longer doing the thing. The thing I like about you, coaching it, you're doing it. It's like any person who comes to you for sales training could just ask you about one of the offers you're on and you'll have some recordings that you could show them on how you approach them. Working for like
100%.
Whereas like some of these guys, whether they're teaching copywriting or they're teaching, closing, they're no longer doing it, right? Like they're no longer doing it. They're not actively in the game. And I think like the world is going faster than it's ever gone. What works for closing this year might not work for closing next year. So definitely want to discuss too, how you
Yeah,
see it.
that's definitely something that I'm gonna keep doing because sales is changing so fast and this market is changing so fast with AI and everything. I know you interviewed that 16-year-old with the AI calling sales thing, kind of like Air AI. I think it's called Nova Echo or something. With that, with other stuff, with being in a trust recession, everything is changing so fast. So if I'm not in the trenches, reviewing calls, taking calls, closing deals, coaching my team, reviewing calls throughout multiple different offers and industries, I'm not going to be up to date. My clients aren't going to get results. I'm not going to make money. It's a huge priority. Maybe more money in the short term if I just go full in on coaching. But in the long term, if I'm not up to date and I can't adapt, I'm going to die out. Someone else is going to be doing that and they're going to beat me, basically.
Yeah, and your current clients will move on to that person, right? They'll reach the where they might say, hey, it's better than this guy that's mentoring me. Maybe out of respect, they may say, hey, who's the next step? And then they may go do that. And that's nothing against you. You can take that as me taking my skill set, or you could just be like, okay, I'm okay with teaching people to this point, and you go do other things. Like wrong. There's a right or wrong way to go about it, but I think as long as your intentions are pure, like, there's not going to be a lot of negativity that comes out of it. And that's really, that's our ultimate, right? Like we can do things, we wake up every day. Talk of it.
Also, it makes me think it unlocks more, ability to serve your clients even at a higher level and make more money on the back end because once their close rate went from 10, 20, 30% to 60%, their show rate went from 50 to 80, offer rate went from 60 to 80, cash collection rate is pretty good. Once they've done that, they're closing so many clients. It's the next step. They're not going to want to take sales calls anymore. They're going to want to hire a closer. Well, if I'm not up to date in the sales management and help in hiring closers all day, training them, managing them, ramping them up, firing them, I'm going to be able to, my clients out as well, which can be an upsell at the back end. I'll think about implementing.
Yeah, for sure. And now on the mentality side of this, like you're obviously, you're not 20 years in the game yet. It's not like you like went to school.
On that?
Yeah, hit on it. No, yeah, hit on.
So I was on sales teams with really, pretty much grown-ups, like in the 30, 40, 50-year-olds. I genuinely think not out of ego, just out of pure results and performance and close rates, I was better than them, not because I had more years in the game. See, years and experience are two different things. Sales veterans, quote unquote, who have been in sales for 10 years, but those 10 years have been 1, 2, 3 sales calls per day, not reviewing those calls, not being coached, not reading books, not educating them, not analyzing them, not getting coached and investing tens of thousands of dollars into mentors. So yeah, they got in 10 years of experience. Did they learn? Maybe it's here, what's their skill level, it's down here. But opposed to that, if in 1 year, like I was doing in the past couple of years, taking 10, 12 sales calls per day, asking questions to my management and leadership, why is it like this? Why is the marketing angle like this? What can we do to fix this show rate? What can we do to fix this cash collection rate? And if I invest thousands and tens of thousands into mentors to review my calls, if they review my calls, give me feedback. If I review my own calls and give me feedback, if I read books, and if I actually make content about sales and teach others, I learn from that as well. So that 10, 12 sales calls a day doing sales, only sales calls, but sales related activities for 10, 15 hours per day, opposed to someone doing sales for 1 to 3 hours per day. Yeah, I might have less experience in years, but the experience overall, I don't know, you tell me.
No, I like that. And that's something I've mentioned on this podcast a lot, where it's not about the years, it's about the reps. And
Exactly.
if we're who can get to 10,000 hours the fastest, 100,000 hours the fastest, right? Like you could do without
the quality of those hours as well.
Hours is 100%. And like just intentionality and everything. And then you can weigh that up against, different people, like I'm a big person where like once I trust somebody and what they're doing and I've seen proof that they've done it, I'd rather give them a shot to interview 10 other people. But if I am in a position where I'm weary, those are the things I'm kind of curious about. So like this person who may have only been in the game 2 years, they've done XYZ versus this 10-year vet who's kind of like,
More impressive.
yeah, it's more impressive. And this person that's got 10 years experience is not using their age as some sort of lever above me and just not putting me in the same spec pool. I don't like that. Like it's not going to resonate well, and it's a point I want to make because again, a lot of my audience, being on LinkedIn, they're not all 18 to 25. It's like when you're bringing in this new talent, this new generation, they are the authentic thinkers. We are the people that have spent a lot of time alone. We had a whole pandemic where we had to rethink everything we wanted to do, and a lot of people came out of it deciding that they could do what they wanted and what authentically, spoke to them. So coming in from a control standpoint is not going to go through their experience and being engaged on those experiences they want to have is going to pay off and then is going to create sustainability because I'm worried about the next generation of workforce. It's an interesting like world.
Yeah. Like it really, your age really doesn't matter. You can actually use it exactly as leverage. If I've been able to do this at such a young age, why can't you? Proof is above all. They don't care about your age, they just care about results. One, whether it's my video editor or thumbnail editor, my thumbnail editor yesterday, go check out my thumbnails on YouTube, guys. They look absolutely amazing. He edits thumbnails for Luke Belmar, for other big guys. For not Luke Belmar, for Luke Alexander and other big guys. He's 14. And yesterday I was like, yo, bro, can you edit these 2 thumbnails? Like, yeah, I'll do it in the next couple hours. I'm just at school right now. And it's crazy. And he does these edits for these big guys because they don't care about that. They just care about the output.
And just the pure will to do it. Like there's so many people who are so skilled at things that they don't like doing. And you don't want to like bring those people into your team. So just ability on that end of it. But I do think as far as business ends of it goes, sales ends of it goes, like we've done a pretty good job as far as like your expertise really well. But now just about the life experience of that, the reality of gaining all this knowledge and the process it takes to do that and then implementing, this knowledge. You are sacrificing a lot. I think an interesting question here would be, what do you think is your toughest sacrifice going this route?
Hey, I think most people would look at this and say, oh, he's probably saying, his teen years and, his, childhood, quote unquote. Well, yeah, I'm not in my room locked in 12 hours a day, not speaking to anyone. I think people who do that are really stupid because you are really, in a teenager only once. Doesn't mean you don't take these things to the extreme. Everything to an extreme becomes the opposite. You don't go all the way at the other end of the spectrum. I mean, in the beginning, it was pretty much, yeah, I was locked in. I out my story video on my YouTube that I posted yesterday. In school before I dropped out, worked from my bathroom stall while my friends were, having fun and stuff like that. Well, guess what? I'm able to have a better balance. I'm traveling, having probably better experience, a better childhood and teenager experience because I made those initial little sacrifices in the beginning. Now I'm going to be more leveraged and to be able to travel, at a young age, able to have all this freedom to be able to experience actually much more than you would average, teenager in the first place. I mean,
yeah.
Now I have like old friends saying, "Yo, it's so sick, bro. You do that as well. Let's link up." I was like, "All right, cool. Let's link up." I have no hate whatsoever. It's just like, what do you want at the end of the day?
And now, it's just the thing that people hearing that will say is that they don't think it's easy. And I don't like that term because I'm always like doing everything easy. But at the same time, you make that decision somebody who was still in school, like I would say just like these decisions to kind of go all in on yourself as somebody who like went through college is a little easier when there's no other option. Like it was like I didn't have the I don't want to call it the guts. I just didn't think I had a plan sustainable enough to drop out of school yet. So I'd like finished school obviously, but it was easier to go all in when I didn't like kind of have that, call it a crutch, call it a plan B in a way. So I'm just kind of curious, was there people you were watching that helped you get this mentality and kind of frame this confidence, or was it just coming from the fact that like you had put in the like was it just pure, that first time you started putting in the yeah.
Yeah. So it's once I had results, right? Once my first commission check for $1,200 landed after like 1.5 weeks of work, and then the next $4,000 commission check, and then all the way, up to 8, 10, 15. Once those first couple commission checks landed and it was consistent, I had the results to back it up. And honestly, as well, I'm from Israel, right? I was working U.S. time zones, so I kind of could have done school, go to school in the morning and do that in the evening. Then I got on a European offer. And the reason I dropped out of school was simply I was in a sales call at school, in the teacher's lounge and whatever, an area where it was pretty quiet. And a teacher came up to me while I'm dropping price after a 45-minute sales call, come in, interrupts me, and breaks up the whole sales call. And that was like $600 commission. And then I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm dropping out. I got to go full time on this. I have the results speak for themselves. And that's another thing. You have to understand like who you are, because I know that I can learn on my own if I want to. I learned everything basically on my own. Not meaning like I learned it obviously from mentors and from people, but I didn't need a curriculum. I didn't need like a structure in the system to teach me those things. And the argument that I had from people, that was telling me I was going to drop out was, oh, what about a safety net? What about something bad happens? Would you depend if you want to be a doctor, scientist, whatever, cool, lawyer, cool. But if you know what you want to do, would you kind of get a degree or a high school diploma or whatever it is if everyone has it? Because if everyone has something, it's not valuable. If everyone has knowledge how to build and run a sales team, then sales managers wouldn't get paid a lot because everyone has it. Well, I understood that not that valuable and it's not a safety net because everyone has it. And proof is that even people that have a degree are still struggling. And why would I go down that path? And I realized that my real safety net is who I know and what I know. That I'll never be in a horrible situation because number one, my network creates me opportunities and my skill set. So my skill set matching with my opportunities, preventing me from ever going broke ever again. I know that any moment that I can sell anything to anyone, all I need is an opportunity and something to sell. Opportunity comes from my network, and that skill, no one can take that from me. Also, that specific knowledge that you gain from, hours and hours on calls, that's kind of irreplaceable. Now everyone's trying to be a high ticket closer, making it a more replaceable skill. So you got to gain some specific knowledge that sets you apart. You're actually irreplaceable and actually have a network that are actually doing stuff to generate opportunity and know that you're safe.
Yeah, and
Feeling is so freeing.
like you hit on, you're gonna get hired off experience anyway. So even if you're in a great spot where, and like myself included, like what we built, that's leverage if we wanted to go ever help somebody else build something else, right? And that wouldn't necessarily be directly in the corporate world. It might just be somebody else with a great product online, and we're like, oh, we've scaled a product online. Then we can go help them do that, and it's not our own effort. And yeah, as CEOs, we have to remove ego in that. But it's like, okay, you can do that. You didn't need to spend 4 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars to create that opportunity. You just needed 4 years of like experience, and then going to somebody who valued that experience. Will some people value the college experience over that experience? Sure. But are they in places where they probably have millions of funding and working for companies that have been around 100 years and that's just the way they've always done it? More than like companies that launched yesterday don't give a flying fuck. Companies that launched 5 years ago don't give a flying. They want people who have experience in things, knowledge that they don't. So like they could be great at building the product, but how to sell it, and you know how to sell it, and nobody's come to them saying, "Hey, I know how to sell this." Then they're not going to want to interview 100 people. They want the people that want to work.
Yeah. If you're trained on the exact same thing from the exact same person, you're a commodity. You're not valuable. You're not unique, right? Yeah, you have some unique aspects, but at the end of the day, if you're looking and interviewing 100 people, they went through the same program, specific knowledge that is what can make a decision, right? And the drive and the untangible stuff. I'd rather hire someone that's super motivated, super hungry, and super coachable, but has zero experience, than someone that has 10 years of experience, but is not coachable, has a huge high ego, is not driven, and lost all their drive and is complacent. That's also a big thing that you can't really, you could train on that, but that's something that you train on yourself, like within, not from other people. And about the CEO and the ego thing, like that was, so before I got into sales, I had, I started trading. I had like a little social media marketing agency, like 7 clients, really not serious. And then I started a software company with a friend called ai-signals.com, which was pretty cool. It's going on right now. You can check it out. And it's kind of like the COO there, right? I left, I was like, I had to lower kind of my ego to be like, okay, I'll go from this. We raised funding. It's doing pretty well. I had to lower my ego from going, okay, in kind of CEO, COO position to being, okay, I got to get back in the trenches. I got to get back into sales. The kind of mental frame I had is I rather have 10% of a watermelon than 100% or 50% of an olive. I'd rather take 10%, leverage other people's money, other people's resources, aka the leads and the money that they spend on Facebook ads to get those people on my calendar that I can close, own 100% of a small company that's just starting off, and there's not a lot of people to learn from. And you're actually better off if you go, 10% of a watermelon.
I think that's awesome. I think sales and marketing are always going to be needed. People are always going to need lead flow. And for people, whether you're starting out or you're looking for a career transition in the business world, I think this needs to get talked about. Only and appointment setting, then closing for, and just getting in the sales realm will just be so beneficial for you. And it's something that you can do from while you're in that transition period. So like you're working from literally an Airbnb Marbella, right? Like when you find an offer that, and when you're looking for an offer, like look for a proven offer, right? Like look for something that's proven, especially if you're a sales rep that's proven. Look for something that's going to pay the bills or close to it while you look for something else. But then you can do this and just spend that 3 months looking for another job, making income doing this, and you might out earn that next job you're going to get. But you have to give yourself that chance. So I think for anybody who's questioning, but like where they're at and they're in the business world already, they have marketing experience, they sell, like people like guys, there's a lot of those right that I think are awesome that you could reach out to and just
No, actually, seriously,
yeah.
Once I get into sales after hearing this conversation, I'm always hiring, whether it's for my offers, for my clients' offers. Hit me up on Instagram, send me your Loom video if you have experience. If not, that's still cool, but so much opportunity out there. You just got to be willing to put in the work and actually get it and have something to stand out. I had a setter reach out to me today. He made an entire VSL slideshow. I should hire him.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, it's badass. And it's like that's what it takes. Like literally, these are unique opportunities, things that give you time freedom. They can bring you financial freedom, but that same effort that you are gonna have to put in 40 hours a week or else, you just have to go in with that mindset to this stuff and get out of the frame that just because you're in your bedroom, you have to give it less effort and see just as much success. Like it's a hard diagram to come around because we come up coddled in our houses and we do this. So we think if we take a job in that space, environment, like you can do things, get out of that environment. For those that are just starting, they don't have money to like go around. Like just go in with the mind frame. Put yourself already in Marbella 6 months from now and just taking these sales calls. And eventually like your reality will start to
Like with these sales calls, if you're just starting out, you're probably afraid to speak to strangers, internet, even if they're inbound or even more outbound if you're cold calling. Treat these sales calls as AI practice sessions. For my cold callers, I tell them, for new ones especially that are kind of afraid to pick up the phones, dude, this is someone across the world speaking. You're hearing this on your headphones. It's either, if you're talking on Zoom, it's someone pixels on the screen. Just treat it like a practice session. Don't overthink it. Because actually, like, if I'm being honest, if you're, oh, you're a cool guy, maybe you were a sales rep in the past, like most business owners are that are pretty successful. And people are shocked because you were kind of like that person.
Yeah, 100%. Now, what's been, to kind of flip this on the positive, and that what's been the best experience in the last 24 months?
I would say being able to people that I like and love, like my friends and my family, that's a big part. That's where a lot of fulfillment comes from. And know that, okay, you're in a fine, okay, financial position. If something happens, you don't need to worry about that. Broke, you fix it. That happens, fix it. Right. I would say also a great experience was last time here in Marbella, meeting up with other like-minded entrepreneurs, sales guys, and that was really that was actually like the first time I met a group of a lot of men in person. The energy is unstoppable when you're all you think about is growth, young experiences, growth, business. Like all of these guys, same mission and vision, showing kind of the fruits of their labor, and working towards something bigger through different paths. Was just that was an incredible experience, bro. I really recommend anyone who feels like kind of isolated, you're just a starting entrepreneur or you're more advanced in your journey and you're in a small hometown and you're just working from where pretty much alone and isolated out. Find a network of individuals, 10 guys that are on the same path as you, and it makes the journey so enjoyable that you don't care about the outcome. And I'm with guys like these, I don't care about the outcome. I don't care about making 100K a month. I don't care about making millions of dollars, because the journey while you're doing that with the same people is actually much more enjoyable than whatever hitting a digit on the screen. It just makes it so fun, and you get people to bounce ideas off around. You can have really any problem that comes to you because all these people have different knowledge, specific knowledge, different experience, and different connections that you can leverage. Yeah, that was one of the best experiences for sure.
Yeah, it's super sweet. And like, we're both in A players, and that's something we're like blessed to be a part of. And it's definitely like one of those, like, it's like not for like beginners necessarily, like off the bat, but those that like are starting to build, like definitely following along and seeing opportunities, because there are opportunities to come on these trips when like not like and stuff, to just see if it's something you want to join full time. But also, I'll take this opportunity. Like, I'm in another one called Irrational Optimist, and this guy Jake runs it, and he was part of a couple bigger companies in the space, and it's just like, it's not really business oriented, but there is like training in there, and it's completely free, and there's thousands of people in it all over the world. And they host trips like every 3 to 4 months. And that was I went to Guatemala with that group last December, and it was like one of the first times where I did something like that, and it was the same experience. It's like, you don't know what it's like to be in the room with 15 people thinking along in alignment with you, like want what's good for you, until you actually do it, and that's so hard to get in every year. Because the people you go to your work with don't have your best interest. The people you go to school with don't have your best interest, and your friends from your hometown don't necessarily have your best interest in mind. And they're all doing different things. Respectfully, you want them to do those things, but you also, like, you may not have had these experiences there. And frankly, like, social media is the way to do it. We don't all have personal brands, but we're active enough on social media to know that these opportunities exist, or know people who can connect us. So yeah, for Rational Optimist, if you guys want to hop in, literally free Discord, just shoot me a message. I do like people that show an interest in it. I'm not put a link in the description, because I want you to be active in there and like actually go after what you want. There's 16,000 people. you know, uh, yeah, I think that's been super important. The brotherhood thing, key.
Yeah, just seeing people that actually want you to win as well. Um, just aren't hating. Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Now, one question I always flip it on the guest. Now you get to ask me one question. First thing that comes to mind.
I want to know kind of what's your vision for the next few years? Want to be business wise? What do you want to be doing?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think I've always been pretty like adamant that I do love the podcast world and like the creative element to that. So like we're really just in the early stages of building a media and marketing company. I mean, Profit Jack started as a company that just made people money selling stuff out of their garage. And that's what we've continued to do. Now we're focused to make people money on it. But we're gonna, that's gonna continue. So really, like the idea of it and like the vision I've always had for it is a lot of what we've talked about today. So it's really helping people take their call it creative ambition and turning it into an actual experience. So if that creative ambition deals with growing an online business or or it might just be finding your dream job, the idea of kind of this network that I've been able to build the different things that we do, podcasts, the LinkedIn offer, you know, then we have that base people to. So right now, the idea with the LinkedIn offer and driving everybody school group that we'll launch is we will not only have a whole school group of people that want to learn about selling online, but we'll have all the business owners that we're working with that will need sales reps. So it's not that we're doing like any sort of sales coaching, but they may not just they'll also need a social media manager or they'll need a finance person. So like these guys that I'm getting in that are like students that just kind of want to be connected to the travel opportunities or podcast stuff. Now they come into this school group and there's all these business owners and online entrepreneurs in it. And they could just say, hey, here's what I'm good at. And, we'll have events like in-person mastermind. It's just, I had to be really mature and be like, while I could just go launch a free group and launch mastermind events and charge $1,000 a person and keep the profits and like do the thing where like you're kind of doing consulting and just have like, you know, content on what we've built. I just wanted to show the fruit was in the pudding first. And the big thing about scaling this LinkedIn effort to 15, 20, 30K a month is kind of been, so like this year has been really focused on, okay, let's build this LinkedIn product and really show people we know what we're talking about on the business end and then go from, because the first company I built did really well. Like I did literally just selling cars and boats and yachts and stuff for people. Like we did 200K in net sales in 2 years, but I hadn't really taken the content stuff seriously. And it was just really like one of those things where I didn't wake up every day and like do it, just kind of like got listings and went about it. So this was kind of my opportunity to like be post college, take something seriously, really serious and see what we can do with it. And I like that it's all kind of come together. So, like the vision is really just getting people, I'm tired of people living their life doing what they don't like to do. And I have no reason to believe I can't connect anyone who us to something better than they would have done on their own. You know what I mean? Like,
So you're connecting in the creative talent and the talent to the actual opportunity, and therefore can leverage what they're actually passionate about and their actual specific and unique knowledge that they have in the world, opportunity that can hear from that as well. That's pretty sick, bro. You should develop like entire software around that.
yeah, it'll be like, and I've seen, like, I like, like what Arlen's done with like Moxie is like super cool. And it's almost like one of those things though, where I'm big, like being always kind of been a CEO, like just never been in the sales, like worked for startups and stuff. But for the most part, like always done a lot. And a lot of that was finding people who were just better at that stuff than I was. So really like having the hub on school, like strategic side to that is going to things like people like Arlen nurturing that connection, but also thinking, how can we loop Maxi into this? Like he has that, going for $1 and I don't need to make any money on it. I just, by them knowing me, they know Maxi exists. And I don't need to be business partners. I just need to be able to promote it in my school group for like fucking free. Like that's what I want to be able to just have that platform and be like, hey, I personally, I have to be using the product, right? Like, so if somebody wanted one-to-one mentorship on sales coaching, right? It's beneficial we have this relationship because I know a guy, I know his rough numbers, I know how he's willing with people. So if they're a good fit for you, I can now vet them ready and save you the time and just be like, hey, somebody's looking for a clothing opportunity. They want some more one-to-one mentorship. And then you do your thing, with them. So, but
I
ideally,
love that.
right, instead of people doing all these like, oh, you this, it's everybody that's in that school group is a client to me to a certain extent. So any added value I can give them, we're not gonna do 100 different business deals. Like I'm fine. It's like more beneficial for you to work with me with the products we're selling because all the other people that are buying this product might also use your. Yeah. So I think,
Sense.
yeah, I think the name for the school group is going to be Connector Kit. I think that's like pretty like valid, but I'm debating if I want to do Connector Kit or tie it more to the Profit Jack thing because it will be under Profit Jack Enterprises. It just might be a product of Profit Jack Enterprises like the podcast is. So we'll see. Yeah, man, that's a good question. I'd like to kind of it is aligned, but I like to kind of just give more details on it. Anything that just people know me, they'll end up doing what they love to do. If they don't, then they're gonna hope they meet me. But that's the thing, man. I usually like to wrap these up. Just anything we haven't talked about that you'd want to dive deeper on, or you can get into plugging stuff you have upcoming that we touched on brotherhood or
100%. I really enjoyed this, bro. I think I'm gonna do one of these every couple months.
yeah,
Kind of
cool.
catch up, share new insights. Because I'm not gonna be sharing the same things on each podcast because I'm also learning and growing and sharing the new things and new insights and new data that we acquire from my clients and from sales teams that I'm managing. So super cool, bro. I really appreciate this. And guys, if you want to find more, just at Tamir.Mars on Instagram. Probably I think I have my YouTube in there. I post a lot of valuable content on there as well. But this was fantastic. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on. To anybody who stayed to this point, I appreciate you deeply. Otherwise, you will see the clips just about everywhere. Tamir, thank you again. We'll do it again, and I appreciate it. I will